Good evening. I call to order this regular joint meeting of the Minnehaha County and Sioux Falls Planning Commissions. And I will begin with a few introductory comments. As a courtesy to everyone here tonight, please make sure that all cell phones have been silenced. Please note that tonight's Planning Commission meeting will be rebroadcast via CityLink and posted on the www.minnehahacounty.gov site for viewing by the general public. The two planning commissions work together on land use and zoning matters within the rural areas surrounding the city. This area is displayed on the screen. When this joint hearing is completed, the joint Sioux Falls and County Planning Commission will adjourn, and the next regular business meeting will begin to consider items beyond the joint zoning jurisdiction with Sioux Falls. Any action taken on the zoning text amendments during the public hearing tonight is a recommendation that will be forwarded to the County Commission and City Council for another public hearing on Tuesday, April 28th, 2026, at or after 5 p.m. Joint meetings of the County Commission and City Council are held in Carnegie Town Hall at 235 West 10th Street. Any action taken on the comprehensive plan adoption during the public hearing tonight is a recommendation that will be forwarded to the joint County Commission and City Council for another public hearing to be set at a later date. Joint meeting of the County Commission and City Council are held in the Carnegie Town Hall at 235 West 10th Street. First on the agenda is public input. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to an item that is not on the agenda? The regular agenda will follow our normal hearing procedure, requesting planning staff to present a report on each item, and then request petitioner to come to the podium and make a statement or answer any questions. Anyone from the audience wishing to address any item shall be recognized by the chair. Move to the podium, state your name and address for the record. Each member of the public will be limited to 5 minutes of public comment per item and will only be allowed to address the commission once per item, unless they are called upon to answer any additional questions from the commission. The Planning Commission will then discuss the item and take appropriate action. First off is item number 1, approval of the minutes of the February 23rd, 2026 meeting.
Madam Chair, I move acceptance of the minutes.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the February 23rd, 2026 meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes on the county side.
Guess I'll look for commissioner action on the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor signify by yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion passes on the city side.
Okay, we'll move on to item number 2, zoning text amendment 26-04 to amend the revised joint zoning ordinance for Minnehaha County and the city of Sioux Falls to update Article 22-00 fees. Kevin?
Good evening. I'm Kevin Hookman from the County Planning Department. To those of us in the room, this item might sound a little redundant, but I'll kind of briefly go over the item for everyone else who might be listening. This is a zoning text amendment to amend the fees within the joint jurisdiction of the county and the city of Sioux Falls. Fees for permits are utilized to offset the costs of processing various permits. These fee amounts are based in part on staff time and materials that are used and estimated to be used to ensure that the permits meet ordinance requirements. The fees for the joint jurisdiction have not been updated since 2005. If these fees seem like they're a pretty big jump, I will remind everyone that the inflation since 2005 to 2025 was 65%, and we've kept most of these fees underneath that. And I'll just go through them real quick again. So rezoning fees for the area in general, or for the joint jurisdiction area, will go from $350 to $500. Planned development will have some restructuring and some new fees and some changes as well, from $350 to $500. Sub areas up to $100 or additions, so that would be in addition to the base fee of $500. Planned development text amendments, which would be $500. It was not previously in the ordinance. Final development plans were not previously charged for, but will have a $200 fee for review. And then major amendments that would require a review in front of the board of the final development plan. And then a minor amendment which would be administratively completed. For conditional use permits, that would go up from a base fee of $250 to $350, with a minor amendment of $100 and a major amendment remaining at $250 for the joint area. The Board of Adjustment fees, which include variance and administrative appeals, would go from $250 to $350. And then the zoning text amendment, which was not previously part of the ordinance, has a fee of $600 for anyone who's requesting to amend a portion of the ordinance as it stands. The couple of new fees that are going to be implemented or requested for implementation would be an appeal of a conditional use permit and a continuation request. Again, these are requests that take extra time for staff and the presentation ability. So we're requesting this for some offset of extra costs involved with the proceedings. For context, in the county as a whole, it's about 7% of conditional use permits were appealed. And we've had 5 different deferrals in those 2 years from 2024 to 2025. So staff is recommending approval of these fee amendments, and I am here for any questions.
Any questions for him?
Any question on city side?
Madam Chair, can I?
Go ahead,
Can I emphasize
Joe.
one other question again, is that these are not just numbers that we've applied an inflationary factor. There's also, we've looked at other jurisdictions like Pennington County, City of Sioux Falls, Lincoln County for comparables to make sure that this is roughly consistent with neighboring jurisdictions.
Yes, thank you. Staff did also look at other jurisdictions within the state that are comparable, which include City of Sioux Falls, Lincoln County, and Pennington County, and Minnehaha County would be similar to those different jurisdictions.
Anyone else? Anyone from the audience wish to address this item? Commissioners?
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve Amendment 26-04. All those in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Motion passes on the county side.
Guess I'll look for commissioner action on the city side.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor signify by yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion passes on the city side.
Okay, item number 3. Zoning text amendment 26-05 to amend the revised joint zoning ordinance for Minnehaha County and the City of Sioux Falls to update the sign regulation within several articles. Go ahead, Kevin.
All right, so this ordinance text amendment is something that has largely been based on the county's recent, or not so recent, but a short while ago, amendments to the sign ordinances. The sign ordinance includes regulations for where signs can be located within the county and like size regulations within the county. And like I said, this is modeled within the county ordinance that's already been adopted. There are several articles which have sign ordinance references, including the Red Rock Corridor Overlay District, additional use regulations for the home occupations, on-premise signs, off-premise signs, and then finally definitions. And all these changes would be, let's see, all these changes are going to be included together in the one ordinance amendment. So I guess some highlights would be, let's see, I'm going to go a little bit faster in this even. Home occupation sign will go bigger because of driving by at fast times within the county, long distances between houses. What's currently allowed is 2 square feet, which is hardly visible for the rural area. It may work in town, but it doesn't work very well in a larger area. Within the on-premise signs, mainly working within the A1 and RC zoning districts, the commercial and the Industrial zoning districts are largely going to remain the same, but this would allow some signage per linear foot of road, as well as wall signs on buildings that are not residential. Then continued with that, residential zones will allow also that wall sign on non-residential buildings and allow signs with conditional use permits. Then the sign ordinance also changes to allow electronic message signs and specific requirements with that, including lighting on those signs, illumination requirements, and those are based on the City of Sioux Falls requirements. And then also it brings out a section within the ordinance that would spell out where signs are require building permits throughout the county and where they are just allowed to be placed. Then in the off-premise signs, again, more work was done for the A1 agricultural and RC zoning districts. Oops, didn't mean to click. To increase the size of 32 square feet along highways so you can have an off-premise sign in those locations, and some reorganization of requirements overall. The commercial industrial, again, it goes kind of the electronic message sign, but then also reorganizing some of those requirements in those zoning districts. The size of the signs do not change within those zoning districts. Then for off-premise signs, there's no longer going to be a section for conditional use, so that's going to be one change. And then also a change that, again, adding requirements for when permits are required and when they are not. So those are some of the big changes. And then definitions overall, we're going to reorganize the definitions as well as introduce some of the sign types that are used throughout the county and give definition to those. So I guess that is kind of the end of my presentation in short. If there's any questions, I am available to answer them.
Any questions for him?
Any questions on the city side?
Anyone from the audience care to address this item? Commissioners?
Madam Chair, I move approval of zoning amendment, text amendment number 26-05.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes on the county side.
I'll look for commissioner action on the city side.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor signify by yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion passes on the city side.
Thank you. Item number 4, public hearing for the adoption of the Shape Sioux Falls 2050 Comprehensive Plan. Fletcher?
Good evening. My name is Fletcher Laycock. I'm Senior Planner with City Sioux Falls Planning and Development Services. I'm here to present the final draft of the Shape Sioux Falls 2050 Plan. You'll remember I was here a few months ago with the initial draft. We're finally in that final adoption phase. And as we bring this 2-year process to a close, what I think about is that the first comprehensive plan was adopted in 1950 when Sioux Falls had a population of 53,000. Today we're at a population of 224,000, and as we look out to 2050, planning for our children in the future, we're going to see a population increase of about 150,000 to 370 to 413,000, and that's going to require 78,000 housing units and the associated infrastructure with that. So that's a lot to take in as we're looking at this process today. So next slide, or can I? You should be able to use that. Just this. All right. So I just want to do a quick recap on our public input, highlights of what's new in the plan, and then as we continue with our approval process, what the next step is. So public input, we put in a lot of effort with our consultant Confluence to do a lot of engagement, find different ways to engage the public. The big ones that worked for us were staff going to pop-up events like the Riverline District or the Riverline event during the summers, and just going out to where people are already gathering and getting input from them at those places. We did a public survey where we got statistically valid responses, and then a lot of different focus groups and public engagement along the way, including our online engagement website. So we did a lot, including coming to Minnehaha County and Lincoln County Planning Commissions and County Commissions meetings with informational updates. So a lot of ways that people could learn about the process. So what came out were 3 or 6 main themes. So housing and neighborhoods, transportation and mobility, conservation and resiliency, economic development, infrastructure and public spaces, and then one that we don't usually see in a land use plan, community services and public health. We heard so much from the public about the homelessness issues and social services issues that we couldn't just ignore it. We had to put it in the plan, include it, because that's what we heard. So that is something that is new in our comprehensive plan document. This is just a highlight of the chapters. We did 1 through 8 the last time we were here. I'll talk a little bit more about sub-area plans in Chapter 9 and neighborhoods, and then implementation, Chapter 11. Kind of go through, we didn't change our 3 main goals. We found that what we were looking for were the trends. The goals were really foundational: effectively manage growth, plan neighborhoods, land use and urban form, and then improve the resiliency of the community. And all our public engagement really told us that those were the 3 main goals for this. How this impacts Minnehaha County as well as Lincoln County are the way that we do growth management strategies. So we know that we're going to grow by a certain amount every year, and that population is grow. It's about 2 to 3% every year. So we know kind of what's coming, and so we know where we need land, and that kind of leads us to what we see every year. We update these tier maps. Now, these tier maps show where growth will occur 1 to 5 years in Tier 1, 6 to 15 years in Tier 2, and then 16 to 25 in Tier 3. And so that gives us an idea of where we're going to see population growth, commercial growth, where that infrastructure needs to go, where we need to locate fire stations and police stations and all the infrastructure needed in order to grow, to meet that housing demand that we're going to have in the future. Chapter 6 is land use, and what we see with that is just a lot of what our forecasting shows us is that we are going to grow, and it will just be a basic, we do plan for an increase of population and how much land we need, but it's basically predicted by our growth models as being very standard. Where we see it implemented is our future land use map, and this hasn't changed a whole lot. We have kind of expanded a little bit into areas, but that was done last year to the north and west. Where we see the biggest changes is along those arterial corridors. You'll see that there's orange lines creating those squares. That shows areas where we recommend higher density residential development. We're not going to require it, but we are going to show that is where higher density commercial and residential should be located, where people can get onto those major roadways and really have that density along those corridors. So that's the major change. You'll also notice, we talked about it last time we were here, the big red dot on that far west side, and that is just a placeholder for if we needed another regional employment center. There is a potential that would be a good location for one. It doesn't say that it's going to be there, but we're planning on, we need so much land for commercial, so much land for residential and industrial, and it kind of made sense to have something out there just to make sure that we had enough land for the population growth. Sub-area plans, that is new. We used to look at corridors in the city of Sioux Falls and plan out those corridors. What we're going to start looking at is breaking up the city into different growth areas, and we have about 12 of them identified. They also extend into our growth areas into Lincoln County and also Minnehaha County. And so that will be the opportunity for us to continue to engage with the public on what they want to see their neighborhoods and sub-areas to grow into in the future. So really working together, regionalization, working with our partners and the public on that future growth. Another thing that we are going to be working on, this is mainly in the city, are neighborhood action plans, and that is taking our existing neighborhoods and really giving them, the public, an opportunity to engage with staff and learn about what opportunities are in their neighborhoods, and, be sort of a microcosm. We go from the comp plan to sub-area plans to neighborhood action plans, and really giving those neighborhoods the opportunity to make improvements together. So as we go through the approval process, what a change a week makes. Last week, it was dealing with the snow when we had our Lincoln County Planning Commission joint jurisdiction meeting, and a lot's changed since then. So our next big meeting is April 28th, where it's the super meeting with Lincoln County, Minnehaha County Commission, and the Sioux Falls elected officials, and that will be for the final adoption of the comprehensive plan in the joint jurisdiction areas. So with that, if you want to see the final draft, there's the siouxfalls.gov website where you can find a copy of the final draft. This has been adopted by the city of Sioux Falls, so this is really for the joint jurisdiction areas, and we're looking for a recommendation to approve. So I'm available for any questions.
Any questions for him?
Any questions on the city side? Nope.
Any questions from the audience? Okay, Jim.
Thank you.
Thanks, Fletcher. Commissioners?
Madam Chair, I'll just make the comment that I appreciate Fletcher and the team at the city, the amount of public engagement and what went into this. Just to give the comparison, the county did a comprehensive plan. I think we're 5 years behind you. I think ours is Envision 2045, so we're not quite as forward-looking as the city. But I think we held 3 listening sessions, and I think it was Del Rapids. Where all did we go, guys? Del Rapids, Brandon, and Hartford. And obviously, we've got lower total population for the geography that we're planning for, so I would expect Sioux Falls to do a lot more engagement and outreach, but I just applaud you for doing that. And I kind of like the layers where we're thinking macro to out into the counties and engaging your county partners, but then you're also looking at sub areas and down to the neighborhood associations. I think there's been a lot of vitality in those neighborhood associations just in the last few years, so engaging them on this topic. So anyway, just wanted a quick shout out and applaud your efforts for public engagement along this journey.
I also want to thank you, Fletcher, and the Planning Commission for Sioux Falls for allowing me to be part of that committee so that I got to hear all aspects of it as well. And I did attend a couple of those sessions. So it was good to hear what the people were thinking too, and their comments and their opinions. So, commissioners?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to approve Shape Sioux Falls 2050 Comprehensive Plan. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes on the county side.
I'll look for commissioner action on the city side.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor signify by yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion passes on the city side.
Any old business? New business? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn on the county side.
Motion to adjourn.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
For a motion to adjourn on the city side.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor signify by yes.
Yes.
We're adjourned on the city side.
Thank you.